So, is it a good time to buy a house right now? We're going to answer that question in just a moment, but first, I want to send a quick thank you to everybody who watched our last video, What Happened to Zillow? It was by far our most successful video yet, not only because we had our highest viewing count, but also because of the feedback we were receiving. We heard things like, nice research and presentation from a friend and client of ours, Craig. Great quality content right here, super informative, and I love the jump cuts. From an agent friend of ours, Giovanni, who also has an appreciation for solid video editing. And last but not least, the best real estate video from the best real estate agent and team. Great job. By the way, will you be coming over for dinner tonight? That is from my mom. We were also spotlighted by a local news station and asked to share our take on this entire story. So we are so excited to share with you all more valuable content with hopes that you stay informed and can make the most educated decisions possible when it comes to your real estate goals. So speaking of which, is it actually a good time to buy a house right now? Let's jump right into it. Prices across the nation have been rising at record-breaking levels. The latest Case-Shiller Home Price Index is showing a national appreciation rate of 19.84% from this same time last year. And get this, that's an even faster rate of appreciation than what we were seeing in the years 2004 and 2005, leading to the housing crash and Great Recession. So understandably, a lot of people are asking this question, is now really a good time to buy, or is another Great Recession-like crash on the horizon, and should you just wait for prices to drop? After doing a quick Google search on this question, it's likely you're going to see article headlines like, mortgage rates are currently historically low, rates are likely to go up in the near future, home prices are on the rise, and if that wasn't enough, rents are also increasing at historically high rates. So all of these headlines should make it pretty easy to answer this question. Of course, it's a good time to buy a house, right? I mean, it only seems like waiting to buy is only going to cost you more money in the long run. But here's the deal. It's not that slam dunk of an answer, and let me explain everything. One of my personal frustrations right now is that there are many news outlets, people from the general public, and heck, even fellow real estate professionals screaming from the rooftop, "You need to buy a house right now!" and creating this emotion of fear of missing out that if you don't do so, it's probably going to be a bad idea in the long run. And that's a big problem because what it's doing is it's forcing some buyers who might not be fully ready to buy to jump into the home buying process a little bit too early. This is one of the big reasons why so many people are feeling a little bit of buyer's remorse after their home buying process. Just look at this survey by Bankrate.com of over 1,400 homeowners where they found 64% of millennial homeowners ages 25 to 40 and 43% of homeowners overall had at least some regret about purchasing their current home. So, is now really a good time to buy? My honest answer is, it depends. And here's why. Logically speaking, yes, these headlines do paint a future that is very likely to happen. After seeing a home price growth of almost 20% this year alone, most economists believe home prices are to grow even further in 2022, with Goldman Sachs in particular projecting a 16% growth next year. So hypothetically speaking, a $350,000 home today could be worth somewhere around $406,000 by the end of next year. And talking strictly investing, that means the money that it would cost you to buy this house, including a 10% down payment totaling $35,000 and estimated closing costs totaling $10,500, you'll make all of that money back in the form of equity within 1 year. And as for interest rates, it's a pretty safe bet that mortgage rates will be climbing up in 2022. With most economists expecting the average 30-year fixed rate to hover around 4% by the end of the year. This after seeing interest rates hover in the mid-2s to low 3s for almost the entirety of 2021. Here's why the story of interest rates rising is so important. Let's say in today's market you can get approved for a $350,000 home purchase at a 3% interest rate. But you decide to wait another year, and as a result, when you reapproach a lender, you find out that the interest rate you're approved for is somewhere around 4%. What that increase in interest rate will do is actually reduce your purchasing power. In this case, that $350,000 amount that you originally approved for would be reduced to $315,000, all because of a 1% increase in interest rate. And what this further means is that unless the prices of properties drop, the quality of home you can afford might go down pretty substantially. For example, here in Las Vegas, you might go from something like this, a 1,700 square foot single-story, single-family residential home with 4 beds, 2 baths, built in 2002, not bad for a first-time home at around $350,000, to something like this, a 1,200 square foot home, single-story, single-family residential with 3 bedrooms, 2 baths, built in 1998. Also not bad for a first-time purchase, but nonetheless an older home with less desirable upgrades. Unfortunately, I can't tell you with 100% certainty that home prices and mortgage rates will continue to rise, but most signs do point to this being the case. Housing inventory remains low due to a variety of factors, the biggest of which include a shortage of over 5 million homes that were not built in the years after the Great Recession, despite millions of new American households forming during this time, supply constraints on building materials that's making it difficult to build at the pace at which the builders can meet the demand, and existing homeowners staying in their homes longer, the typical homeowner staying for as long as 13 years in their residence. For as long as the inventory situation stays where it's at, it's hard to really forecast prices changing substantially towards a crash or correction in the future. Nevertheless, and hear me out, these factors should not be the leading factors behind your decision of whether to buy a house or not in today's market. Don't give in to the pressure of buying a house simply because of the expectation that prices are going to go up, interest rates are going to go up, or you're seeing everybody else buying a house. There are some other questions you should be asking yourself first, 4 in particular, before answering the question, is now a good time to buy a house? Number 1, do you plan on being in this house for at least the next 5 years? The 5-year rule ensures you're making a financially sound decision around buying versus renting a home. For one, let's talk about mortgage payments. You're really not building much traction in gaining home equity through your mortgage payments until you're about 5 years into making those payments. During this time, your mortgage payments, almost 75% of those payments when you're first starting out, are going towards interest and not the loan principal. And second, think about your closing costs. Every time you buy a house, you're going to be facing closing costs, which typically amount to around 3 to 5% of the home sales price. Limiting how often you pay those closing costs is always a good idea. So if you don't plan on being in the house or at least owning it for the next 5 years, it might be cause for you to slow down on the thought of buying a home. Second question, is your job and income situation secure? COVID-19 definitely threw a lot of individuals and families for a whirlwind. Not only did its destruction come in the form of health issues for many, but it also led to the temporary or permanent shutdown of many businesses. And as a result, the furloughing or laying off of many of those businesses' employees. At the height of the pandemic, the US had a reported 14.8% unemployment rate, the highest number ever reported by the US Bureau of Labor Statistics. So it begs the question, how safe is your employment? Do you see any external or internal factors that could put you in a compromising position when it comes to your job and your income? Because here's the deal. Missed mortgage payments can lead to late fees, a lower credit score, and a pretty stressful foreclosure process. So if your job or industry feels a little bit shaky during these times, give yourself an extra second to think about home buying. Number 3, how is your financial health? This question encompasses a few important details that all boils down to helping you with one thing, your mortgage rate. The better your financial health, the lower your mortgage rate, and as a result, your mortgage payment will be. Your financial health depends on 2 things, your credit and the money you have saved for a down payment. When it comes to your credit, my advice to you would be to pull your credit report from all 3 major bureaus, Experian, Equifax, and TransUnion. Federal law allows you to get a free credit report from each of those bureaus every 12 months. And one of my favorite places to get that done is annualcreditreport.com. Once you receive those reports, review each report carefully for any mistakes that are being reported. And if you see any issues, it's a pretty seamless process to initiate a dispute directly through the bureau that's reporting that issue. As for savings, the more money the better. It's only going to put you in a better position once you've bought that house when it comes to how much equity you immediately have, as well as lower your mortgage payment. And question number 4, do you need to make any changes to your spending habits? Those with poor spending habits can find themselves in a little bit of a bind as homeowners. You see, home ownership can many times come with hidden costs, including repair costs for a damaged roof, broken HVAC system, electrical system, or plumbing system, remediating a mold or termite issue, or maintaining your landscaping. And without having the ability to take care of these issues in a timely manner, it can lead to much worse repercussions. So my questions to you: do you currently work off of a budget? Do you save a portion of your income every pay period? As a homeowner, you can't afford not to. A great book that I would recommend to help you with this matter would be The Total Money Makeover by Dave Ramsey. Not only does it do a great job of teaching you how to eliminate your debts, but it also helps you understand ways of managing your money on a day-to-day basis. So here's the deal. Buying a house is a big decision and one that should be well thought out. Simply doing it because you're seeing others do so or because of what you're being told from others should never be the reason why. Doing it the right way requires you to look deeper into your own personal situation and your future, because let's face it, there will never be a cookie cutter response to is now a good time to buy a house. If you plan on buying a house as a long-term investment that you'll be keeping at least for the next 5 years, your job and your income situation are in a good place, your credit and your savings are looking good, and you're comfortable with your spending habits, then yes, now will be a good time to buy a house, especially if you're currently paying rent. Building your own equity is always going to be a much better idea than building your landlord's equity. Now, wait a second. I know there are a number of people watching this video thinking prices are way too high, we're in a bubble that's about to burst at any minute. And to those individuals, I'll say this. You might be right, but there is no way of telling for sure what's going to happen in the future. It's all speculation at this point. Here's something I can confidently tell you though. If there indeed was a housing crash, there would be a number of buyers flooding to the market. And you want to know who's likely going to win when there are all of these buyers flooding the market, getting into bidding wars? Cash buyers. You see, cash buying offers carry the least amount of risk and can close in a much shorter time than a financed offer. And as a result, there's likely to be a lot of cash buyers jumping into the market, seeing as how it'll be such an enticing investment opportunity if housing prices do drop. If you're going to need to finance the purchase of a home, waiting solely for a housing crash might just lead to disappointment. And that's all I have for you. I'm sure you found our take on this question honest, refreshing, and helpful. And since you did, make sure to hit that subscribe button so that you can get more honest content in the very near future. Thank you so much for watching. We'll talk to you again soon. Bye-bye.